Hi, welcome to Painting with Victoria. I'm Victoria Gobel, and in today's lesson, we will be painting a koi pond. Before we get started painting, we're going to take out the templates that you got in your paint box, and we'll start with the fish. So what you want to do is, and this is where you get to be as creative as you want. You can copy me or just put them wherever you want, but I always like to do kind of a yin-yang shape. So I will do one fish going like this, and then one fish going like this. So let's go ahead and trace our fish. So I think I'm going to place one here, and then I'm going to go ahead and trace around the other one. Okay, as I wrap up this part, very nice, we have two sizes that came in your kit of the little lily pads. So again, you can place these wherever you want to. I think I'll go ahead and put the big one here. They look like little Pac-Man, don't they? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and have this one go off of my canvas. Go. And okay, so I think I'll place a couple right here. I'll put this one here. And maybe I'll do the same one and have it go kind of behind this one. I'm not even going to put the little V in there, so I think I'll go ahead and I don't want to have too many. I think I'll just put one right here. It shouldn't be touching the fish because the fish are kind of swimming around them. So I'll go ahead and put one here in the corner. And I'm just going to put a portion of one right here. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started blocking in our koi fish. So what we're going to do is let's take the square flat paintbrush. That's the only one that came in your kit. And we're gonna start, let's start with there's koi fish, by the way, they come in all different color combinations and some are spotted. So what we're going to do is make this one orange and this one more of a spotted one. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to start with white and block in this one right here. Just get white paint because I don't want to have any exposed canvas when I'm blocking in everything. And you can get out of the lines because I almost want you to, because when we go to cut in with the water, we'll clean that up. So you go ahead and just get out of the lines and just get that white. It also helps kind of drown out the lead, but the lead will come through. Okay, so as you can see, you can still see, I think I have to rinse this out better. It looks like we have a little bit of red paint on my paintbrush. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is take a little Payne's gray and a little white, and this will be the shadow on our koi fish. I'm going to take a tiny bit of phthalo blue, just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. Phthalo blue is very, very strong, so you have to be careful not to use a whole lot. Just dip the very tips in. Okay, so what I'm going to do is brush where the tail is, like this, and that's kind of the shadows. Kind of just use our strokes going in that direction, and I'll just take my finger and blend it in. Sometimes I use a sponge, but in this case I'm just going to use my finger. And so this would be the, I'm going to border the outside of my fish. There's the fin right there. I'm going to ignore that and come across here and brush it inwards. Brushing in that motion. And just take your finger and just blend it in because the white paint is still wet. This works out very, very well. Okay, and so we're gonna do the same thing across his nose area here. Kind of a square nose. And do the same thing right here. I don't want to have any edges not shadowed. Go ahead and brush it inward in this direction. Just take it and rub that in. And same thing, go around. That's good. And so let's go ahead and do his fin. Looks good. And use my finger to blend that in. And the other side. Yeah. And so what this will do is make our white fish pop out, having all these nice shadows here. Alrighty. The one thing I definitely want to do is put the little fin that goes on his back. And so all that is like a long kind of a piece just like that. So you just want to hand paint that. Okay. All right. So now let's take our paintbrush and dip it in white. I haven't cleaned it yet. I'm going to dip it in white, and now I'm going to do some really quick strokes going in an upward motion like this on the fins. And this is just going to create more dimension in my shadows. There we go. So that all looks really good. I'm going to stop and let that dry, and while that's drying, I'm going to come over here and work on this one. So clean out your brush really well, and we're going to make a beautiful orange color. And orange is always red and yellow, and we're not using red, we're using magenta, which does the same thing. It actually makes a more beautiful orange. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little magenta. Magenta is very strong. And some yellow. That looks beautiful. Look at that orange, isn't that gorgeous? Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is block in this lovely little koi fish. Oops, got out of the lines, but that's okay. Remember I said you can get out of the lines because we're gonna clean it up with the water. And I can see my pencil mark coming through, which is good. As you can see, I got out of the lines in a lot of the places here, but when I clean it up, it's gonna look amazing. So I'm purposely getting out of the lines. Go ahead and do the whole thing. And a tail. Here we go. And now what I'm gonna do is take my paintbrush and dip it in yellow. And I'm going to go ahead and do some strokes that go across the top like this, in this direction. These are his scales. Let's stop right about there because I have to put that top fin right there. But I can go ahead and, let's say the fin is like right about here. I'm just going to go ahead and put that long shape like I did right here, right on the top. So I'm going to say it's probably more like this. There we go. Okay, so now I want to do the same thing to the tail that I did on the other fish, and just little strokes going up in this direction. And we're going to do the fins. I think the orange one is easier to do because we're not applying so many different colors. So if you want to do all orange koi fish, you are welcome to do that. Okay, I'll go ahead and do a little bit more yellow going across here. And maybe down the middle here. All right, that looks perfect. So now I'm going to take and dip the same paintbrush in magenta back into the orange. So now I'm going to make a red-orange color, much deeper. Okay, so this is what I'm going to shadow this koi fish with. Take my finger, blend it in, and come across here. Do his little nose area here. It's almost kind of like a little oval shape that we're going to create here. Okay, coming across this side, blend that in. I love using my finger to blend things in. It just makes it so much easier. And so go ahead and this goes behind. And we'll go ahead and do the outside here. Finger. And we'll go ahead and do this side. There's a little fin part right here. It sticks out. Okay, and with the same color, I'm going to go ahead and just outline this fin a little bit, just to kind of give it a little bit of shadow underneath so that sticks out. And I think that's probably good right there. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just very, very carefully in here, just go ahead and put a few of those little scale shapes in here using the point of my flat brush right here. It can make a very nice skinny line if you hold it at an angle. Just a few places, not a whole lot. This just makes those scales pop out even more. And let's go ahead and run this across here. And over here, still using the thin part of my brush. There we go. So once we clean this up, it's going to be really, really nice. So let's go back to our orange color. And if yours is dried up, just take your cad yellow light and your magenta and go back to making orange. And we're going to cut, this is already dry, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to make some fun little spots on my fish. And this is where you can just be creative and do as many or as little as you like. Let's see. I'm not going to do his fin because I really want that fin wouldn't be spotted in the same way. So I'm going to skip over the fin, come out here, and go all the way down to the edge. There we go. And how about I go ahead and do one. I'm going to go ahead and continue this one into this spot. Okay. You can almost see the dark shadow coming through my orange color, which is wonderful because it's kind of shadowed it for me. So let's go ahead and maybe do one on the tail and then call that part done. That looks good. All right, so now I'm gonna throw that in the water and I'm gonna pick up my tiny little #2 round brush and dip it in the Payne's gray. This almost looks like black, but it's not. It's like a dark, dark navy blue. So I'm gonna go ahead and just randomly pick some areas to put some black spots. And every time I do this painting, I do it a little bit different. I never do it the same way each time. Go ahead and do a nice size spot here. Looks like a little Dalmatian, doesn't he? Whatever you do, just have fun. No stressing over this. I think I'm gonna stop there. And what I want to do is, just like when I put the scales up here on this fish, I'm going to take my little paintbrush and dip it in yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and do some scales on this part of my koi fish in this direction. Sometimes I use my finger to kind of smooth it out. Be very careful though, you've got some wet Payne's gray here, so we don't want to run into that. His tail. And he needs some scales along the white part of him, so I'm going to go back to that color that I did all my shadowing in, which is still wet over here. If yours isn't wet, then just make some more. It was Payne's gray, white, and a little tiny bit of phthalo blue. So let's see, yeah, that's a little dark. I want it to be lighter. Go. And now I'm just going to hand paint some scales going across his back right here. All right. Perfect. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, kind of looks messy, doesn't it? But you watch, once we come in with the Payne's gray in the water, it's going to clean it up. We'll do the eyes and the detail later after we do the water. So right now we are going to concentrate on doing all of our lily pads. So let's go ahead and make a nice medium green, cad yellow light, and a little phthalo blue. Isn't that pretty? I'm just going to make a nice medium green color, and we're going to go ahead and fill these in. Okay, so I've blocked in all of my lily pads in the green. So now what I'm going to do is take my paintbrush and just dip it right inside the yellow. And I'm going to start with a yellow middle, kind of blur it out. This just to establish what the middle of each one is. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take strokes, and I'm going to go into the center. So we're going to just brush it inwards. You get to get out of the lines right on this part if you want to. As you can see, I'm purposely getting out of the lines. What I'm trying to do is brush in the direction of bringing all of my strokes to the center. Now this one is behind, so I have to be very, very careful not to go into that lily pad. There you go. All right, now I can do this one. I want to make sure that I see some of the original green that I put down there, so you don't want to do it to where you covered up everything. Okay, so I am pretty much done with this part. I want to definitely have some lighter shades of the light green coming through in certain places. And this is looking really, really good. I'm going to go back, dip it in the yellow, and get that center again stronger. I want the center of my lily pad to be bright. No two lily pads are alike, so try not to make all of your lily pads look the same. That looks really good, just the way it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and we are going to take the number 6 round and dip it into the yellow. And now what you're going to do is go around and border each one of your lily pads. Just put a nice little border. Doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, we're going to come in and clean this up after it dries a little. There we go. And you're going to do this to all of your lily pads. Just give it like a little outline. And as you can see, where I got out of the lines, that's perfectly fine because the background color that we're going to lay is so dark, it's going to cover all of it. So this is one of the few classes that I teach where we actually go backwards. We do the subjects first and then we do the background. In pretty much every other lesson that I do, we always do the background first and then we do the subjects last in the front. Okay. So it looks like, I'm just going to do this one part right here. I knew I forgot something. Do a little yellow dot in the center again. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do a little tiny bit of detail on our koi fish. So we're going to take our tiny little number 2 round brush. And let's go ahead, and this is kind of where you just kind of have to eyeball it, but I'm going to put a little eye right here and a little eye right here, just off to the side. And then he has these little kind of funny little nostrils that go like this, just like that. Oops. And the same thing with this one. Now we're going to do the little whiskers that are on the end of his little nose here, but that'll be last. We'll put that'll be the very, very last thing that we do. Okay, so we're at a point now we are going to start blocking in all the water, and this could take some time. So take out your square, your flat brush. Just goes on a lot nicer. And when you cut this in, this is when you have to take your time and look at your, I can still see all the pencil lead, but if you can't, it might not be a bad idea for you to take your template, lay it down, and retrace it again. But because I can still see all of mine, all you're gonna do is start cutting in close, right where the pencil mark is, and we're gonna clean it up and get rid of all of those rough edges and all that time I told you can get out of the lines. You were probably wondering why, because all we're going to do is come in and clean it up now. And yeah, this is pretty much the last part of our painting here. And so the same thing with your lily pads. When you get to where the lily pads are, you just want to kind of come in, clean that up. So we're going to go ahead and do the entire background, and then I'll show you what our final details are after that. Okay, so as you can see, I am all done blocking in the water, but I think in some places I'm going to want to do a second coat. So what I'm going to do is take this outside and let it dry, or hold a blow dryer to it and try to get it to a point where I can touch it, where it's dry enough to touch. And then I'm just going to hit it in a few places where a second coat needs to be. So I'll be back. Okay, so my background is dry to touch. Before I give it a second coat, because I want it to be really dark and black. That's just the look of this painting. It doesn't necessarily mean the water is supposed to be black, but this just makes for a nice overall look of this painting. So what I'm going to do is give my lily pads and my fish a couple of details. So I want you to take your number 6 round, and we're going to go ahead and put a little of that on our paintbrush, not a whole lot, okay? Very, very thin. This is what's called glazing. We're going to go ahead and do a few places where we blend it into our lily pad, just to add another color. And I want to say I need to rinse it out even more. I want it to be very watered down, kind of almost like a watercolor. So you can see it right here. It's very, very thin. And I'm going to pick a few other places that I want to just add a little hint of another color. So I'll go across here and have it go in that direction. That's good. And then it just kind of breaks it up, because there's a lot of green going on here. So it's kind of nice to see another shade. There we go. Maybe kind of come back in here and do that again. There. And let's go ahead and pick a spot over here. I'll do this right here. See how it goes on very transparent because it's just watered down paint. Over here, and maybe one over here. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so that kind of broke it up a little, and so we're going to go ahead and dip it back into the magenta, and now we're going to same thing, water down magenta, and let's go ahead and kind of highlight our little koi fish over here a little bit more. And we're just going to richen up the sides of him. Just in a few places, not over the whole thing again, just in a few places. That's good. And I've already got this. There we go. Maybe just over here a little bit. And this is what's called glazing. I love to do glazing on a lot of my paintings. It's the final thing that I'll do. And because it's watered down paint, it just goes on very, very transparent. Okay. And now let's go ahead and give this some shadows on the side. But that I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to take a little phthalo blue with the magenta and kind of make a purple color. And kind of hit this on the side over here. Just kind of give that more of a shadow. And that just makes his body curl in a little bit more. And I'm going to water that down, really water it down so that it's kind of watercolor consistency again. And I'm going to go ahead and hit this. Using my finger a lot when I do my shadowing. And then I'll go ahead and do the end of his nose a little bit. Let's see, how about on his tail? Just quick little strokes like this. Run your finger, kind of blend it in. Okay, that looks nice. That just kind of gave it some more depth, and it's the same thing, just run it across the edge here. There we go. All right, so this is a good place to stop with all the details. Well, the last thing I'm going to do with his whiskers is take some, I'm going to make that orange again, and that was with the cad yellow light and the magenta, and it's just a simple little stroke like that and a stroke like that. Super simple. Now with this guy, I'm going to make his whiskers white, so I'm just going to dip it right inside of the white, and simple stroke, just like that. All right, last little detail I want to do is, I really like the center to be super yellow. So just dot that up. Okay, so the only thing that's left to do is we're going to get rid of all of these little brush strokes. So this is coat number 2, and we're just going to take the Payne's Gray back, and we're only going to hit it in the areas that we feel need a second coat. You don't really have to do the whole thing all over again and go through the trouble of outlining. Seeing a little bit is okay, but see how we see a lot of white coming through right here? I don't really like that. I want it to be really solid. So we're going to go ahead and repaint that in again. And the second coat should go on like butter, because whenever you have one coat on, the second coat goes on so nice. So we're just going to keep going with this, and I hope you enjoyed this class. I did. It's so much fun painting with you today in the relaxed environment of your home. These lessons are great for moms who homeschool and want to go and have an art lesson with their children. They're also great if you want to coordinate a painting party. So what you would do is just you know, go on my online store, tell me how many kits you're going to need, how many kids are coming to your event, and I'll ship them out to you, and you can schedule a fun little painting party with your friends, family. It's a great way to get away from the computer, get away from your cell phones, and just really have some, you know, bonding time. I know that I love to get together with my grandson and my daughters and just sit and paint with them, and it allows us to have lots of fun conversations. So take advantage of the art of painting. These are beginning lessons, so no stress. I'm not going to make you paint anything that I don't think you can do. And every time you do a painting, you're going to get better and better and better. But you can't get good by just doing one painting. So we're almost there. I think this looks good. Sometimes what I like to do is put a couple of lines of moving water. And so what I'm going to do is take my paintbrush and dip it in a little phthalo blue and white. I didn't even rinse off the Payne's gray. And it shouldn't be that much lighter than the color that we were already working with. And then what I do is I kind of do the motion of water around my little koi fish. And this is just a nice way to finish off the painting. And there's one more thing I want to show you that's so great about this painting, and no other painting that I do works like this. But let me just finish here. We're just going to go in the motion of our fish. I think that's good. Okay, great. So before I sign it though, this is one of those paintings that you can turn it like this and hang it on the wall like that. You can turn it like this, or you can turn it like this. There's really no up, down, right, or left. Because I started it like this, I guess I'll sign it, but if I wanted to, I could hang it upside down and do it this way. So either way, you know, I almost think I like it better like this, so I think I'm gonna just leave it like this and just sign the bottom, my name here at the bottom, and please go to my online store and to see all of my other painting lessons. And please, please, please post your finished paintings on my Let's Paint with Victoria Gobel Facebook page. I'd love to show off your work. So that's all for now. I'm gonna go ahead and sign my name and call it done. And yay! I hope you had a good time. I'm gonna just sign my name right here. Take care, God bless.